everyone, it is me, the Vigilante, and I'm back at it with another video. And guess what? We finally pushed Nintendo Prime to finally break. I think we finally broke that boy's brain. And if you truly enjoyed my video, please give it a like, share, and subscribe. I'm really trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I really need your help. So let's get into this new reaction.
The reason we have this video today and the reason we're so excited about making it to pre-order day is there has been a lot of doom and gloom on the internet. I don't think it's impossible, or I'll say this, it's impossible to go anywhere online and not be dooming and glooming over some things happening with Nintendo, whether it's the price of the system, the price of the games, not packing in Welcome Tour and selling that for $10 extra. Maybe it has to do with not including DLC with Breath of the Wild. Maybe it has to do with the high prices of Switch 2 Edition games, where they're charging the same MSRP as like 8 years ago, but then charging on top of that. So there's a lot of questions, a lot of concerns, a lot of I would say justifiable backlash thrown Nintendo's way. If you were someone who was attacking Activision for going to $70 with games, and then attacking Sony and Xbox and all the rest for also following suit and going to $70.
So the reason why he really made this video was because he got so much pushback from other people. I think I was the first one to actually make a video calling him out, and then some of the other bigger YouTubers eventually called him out, like, oh no, it's Alex, and another one, I don't know how to pronounce the name, but then them two started doing, and then I think other people started following suit. Now, I don't know the history of this guy. I just happened to come across him, and I'm like, I'm gonna do a reaction video, and I'm gonna call him out for this bullshit. And that's exactly what I did. Even though I'm not gonna get the credit for it like the other ones are, that's okay. I was still the first one.
$70 with games. Naturally, I expect that same energy to be kept for $80 games like Mario Kart World. So I understand it. I get it. I wish prices were cheaper. I do think $80 is too expensive. Don't know how that's got lost in translation, but I've been very consistent about that. I just am still excited anyways.
No, it wasn't obvious. You have not been consistent. You sat there and said in your video, oh, I am tired of all this, where you were getting tired of all the backlash. And you sat there and said, and I quote, I'm not here to tell you if $80 is too much. I'm not here to tell you if $80 is worth it. And then you sat there, like, glossed over it and was like, well, you know what? The price of what entertainment is depends on you. Those were your words. You said that because you refused to sit there and speak out against Daddy Nintendo. Now you finally did, because we all gave you so much pushback, but you still don't care, which is okay. Even if you think it's too expensive and you still spend the money, I will respect you more if you say that versus sitting there refusing to speak out against Nintendo, period, because you don't want to piss off your daddy Nintendo.
And I think focusing on all that negativity when the conversation hasn't changed since April 2nd, it's been the exact same conversation. I just don't think there's any need to worry about that. And you know what? Nintendo is now showing us why you don't need to worry about that, because people have been taking all this online negativity and getting worried, getting concerned that this is another Wii U situation. And even if it doesn't sell as bad as Wii U, well, it's going to be like a GameCube or maybe an N64. It's going to sell less than 50 million units. It has no shot at 100 million. There's no hype for this system. The hype is dead. Well, Nintendo's president, yes, the president.
Oh, and I forgot to mention this in the beginning. Now, I just finally found out about this because, like I said, I didn't know about him. I didn't know about him back when Activision rose up to $70 to be the first one, and then Sony followed suit. So what it was he went on Twitter, did this thing where he talked out against Activision, and he talked out against Sony for doing it. And then there were a lot of people, you know, the Sony ponies, I'll call them, I don't care. You know, the Sony ponies, which are fanboys if you don't know what a Sony pony is, they sat there and wouldn't sit there and speak out against Nintendo. So he was like, oh, well, you need to hold the same energy you did for Activision, which I agree. People should have. The Sony pony should have sat there and chastised Sony for doing that. But then people flipped it right back to him, and he did this tweet where he was like, well, why do I have to do it when there's already so much negativity brought back and already going towards Nintendo? Well, my guy, you didn't keep the same energy. It's pretty much, if it's the company you love, you're okay with it. So you showed everybody you're okay with the corporate greed. And like I've said before, 99% of the gamers are not like you. And it has nothing to do with being a fan of Nintendo. There are plenty of people who are fans of Nintendo and just cannot afford it. You can afford it. You get to write all this stuff off on your taxes. You get to write off, you know, the 4 Nintendo Switches that you said you're going to buy. You sat there and you're going to be able to write those off. You know, this is ridiculous, and you know it. You know that the average gamer is going to hurt because of this.
We're not talking about Doug Bowser for Nintendo of America. We're talking about the overall person who runs all of Nintendo. Came out today to talk about the pre-order situation. And let's just say, Nintendo is issuing a major warning. And that warning might make some of you guys a little nervous. So it's good for Nintendo. I want to be very clear, but let's go over to where he put this message. It's right over here on Twitter. Obviously, see, this is all in Japanese. So we're going to go down here and hit the translate post button, and let's go ahead and give this a read. So it says, "Hello. This is Furukawa. We have been procuring many materials and proceeding with production in advance so that we can deliver the Nintendo Switch 2 to you. On April 2nd, we announced details about the Nintendo Switch 2 and started accepting applications for the lottery sale on the My Nintendo store. As a result, we have received extremely large numbers of applications, approximately 2.2 million people in Japan alone, not counting other territories, not counting the US, just Japan."
Well, of course we sit there and get that many. I'm surprised they didn't get more. When Japan is nothing more than a bunch of welfare babies for the gaming industry, and they have to use us to subsidize their welfare system for gaming. What do you expect? They're only getting their consoles at $330. We're getting ours at $450. What do you think? Of course, I would love to have gotten one at $330. I think you would. Well, you probably wouldn't have cared. They could have rose that up to $1,000 and you would have still got it. I guarantee you, even if you can't get a pre-order in, you will sit there and buy it from a scalper.
Has 2.2 million people. I want to put this in perspective, folks. The #1 best-selling system on day one in Japan was the PlayStation 2, and it sold around 1 million units. They have 2.2 million people just on the My Nintendo store, just in Japan, trying to get this day one. Insane. Let's go back here. However,
well, of course the Switch 2 would sell more when, because Sony doesn't use us as a welfare system for Japan. Sony doesn't sit there and create like a gaming welfare system and uses us to subsidize their inability to afford a gaming console.
this number far exceeds our expectations and far exceeds the number of Switch 2 consoles that can be delivered from the My Nintendo store on June 5th. Therefore, unfortunately, we expect that a significant number of customers will not be selected when the winners are announced tomorrow, April 24th. In order to avoid the trouble of those who were not selected in the first lottery sale having to reapply, My Nintendo Store will automatically carry over those who were not selected in the first lottery sale to the second lottery sale. However, even including the quantity for the second lottery sale, we cannot fulfill all of the applications we received. We deeply apologize for not being able to meet your expectations despite our prior preparations. And what you have to remember is he said, hey, how are we going to combat scalping? We're going to have more stock, so much stock that scalpers can't win. That's what he said.
Which it's impossible. There's going to be scalping. And I really hope that you have to pay. I hope you have to buy one from a scalper, Nintendo Prime. I really do. I am so glad that you're so excited that your money that you're spending is going towards funding their welfare system there in Japan. I am so happy. You should be so proud of yourself.
So as we get back over here, in response to this demand, we are currently working on further strengthening our production system. In addition, starting tomorrow, April 24th, game retailers and online stores nationwide, that's right, they do the same day as the US, will begin accepting pre-orders or lottery sales for the Nintendo Switch 2 console. Please check the information of each retailer for details. The console will also continue to be sold at the My Nintendo Store after the release date, and more details will be announced at a later date. I'm guessing the lottery system is going to continue after launch. Anyways, with the cooperation of retailers, we will continue to ship the console and make efforts to get as many Switch 2 consoles as possible into your hands. We plan to continue producing and shipping a considerable amount of Nintendo Switch 2 units in the future. We apologize for the delay in our ability to meet your expectations, and we appreciate your understanding. Do you guys understand what this post is saying? Like, everyone who thought this was going to be a Wii U situation, the demand's not there, the system's going to flop. Shoutout Furukawa was literally saying, we can't meet launch demand. We have more units than ever, and we can't meet demand.
Well, of course they can't meet demands. When Nintendo created a welfare system for the gaming industry in Japan and forces the rest of us to subsidize it for them, of course they're getting it for cheap compared to what we are. I guarantee you if they lowered it down to 330, that they would have sold out way quicker than what they're going to.
2 million just in Japan on the My Nintendo Store. And remember, they have the same like restrictions that you have to be like an NSO member and all this stuff. NSO members only make up a very small percentage of the Nintendo Switch audience. That means a lot of people were probably looking to get it at retail, and they're also selling at retail. So there's 2.2 million in demand just at the My Nintendo Store. There's probably 3 to 4 million in demand overall in Japan. They can't match the demand. They can't keep up. And that's just Japan. And we got to remember, Japan is not the #1 territory for Nintendo. It's the United States. So they obviously were going to allocate most of their stock to the US and then the second most to Japan. And even with that, they can't keep up. And I know some people are going to say, well, in my country, it wasn't that hard to pre-order. I can go pre-order one right now. Yes, what you need to understand is we're talking about the 2 top countries in Nintendo's sales catalog. It's the United States and Japan. They sell more units here by an astronomical amount compared to the rest of the world combined.
And you would think that since we sit there and buy so much that you would think they would give us a discount, but no, they got to rip us off and use us to prop up other countries.
So if that's the demand in Japan, what do you think it's going to be like here in the US? I've already heard murmurs. I've heard from people who claim, haven't seen photos myself, but I've claimed that they're already camping out at GameStop. I've been asking for some photo proof to see if there's like a line. Some said, hey, there's already 10 people here. I don't know. I'm going to be camping out at GameStop tonight. I know that. Hoping that I can still get a unit. So like there's the demand for this is insane. When you consider that Nintendo's own president's coming out and already pre-apologizing for not being able to meet demand, despite them possibly producing more units for launch than any console in history, think about this. It was risky for Nintendo to make more Switch 2 units for launch than ever in the history of consoles, right? There are murmurs out there of something.
It's rumors, not murmurs. Can you say it right for once? And I really hope you don't get a console. I really hope you don't get any of those units. I hope that you're forced to buy one from a scalper.
Like 6 million systems maybe being available worldwide on day one. The record for month one is like 4.18 or 4.17 million. And that's for an entire month. And on day one, Nintendo is planning to have more than that worldwide. And it still might not be enough. That is insane. It shows the demand for Switch 2 is extremely high. It shows, despite all the mixed messaging and people getting upset at Nintendo, that overall, most consumers don't care. They're just happy to get a new Switch 2. They're happy to get the new Mario Kart. Maybe they just want the upgrades to their Switch 1 games. Maybe they...
The only reason why they're okay with it and excited is because of cowards like you that bent the knee and helped Nintendo brainwash these poor people just because you're nothing but a corporate shill.
Are happy about some of the third-party stuff coming over. I have no idea. Maybe they're excited for Donkey Kong and they just want to get it day one so they don't have to worry about maybe not being able to get one around the time Donkey Kong comes out. I don't know. Maybe they're just buying it because they anticipate, 8 years of content coming from Nintendo. All I can say is the demand is out of this world. And to everyone that was hoping for Switch 2 to not be successful, obviously we don't have the sales data right now. We just have the pre-order demand right now, but it's looking good. The projections out there from many an analyst was that they would sell between 19 and 24 million units in the first 12 months on the market. I would say they're well on pace for that. They're already ramping up production now. The system hasn't even made it to our hands, and Nintendo is ramping up production. Go back and look at what they said in here. So it says, in response to this demand, we're currently working on further strengthening our production system. That means they are trying to ramp up production even more. The same production that got them 6 million at launch. They're trying.
Hey, it's still congratulations. But you know what? I did not think this was exactly going to be a Wii U situation. Now, I did not sit there and think they were going to sell 150 million units. I still don't think by the end of its life cycle, it's going to sell 150 million units. Unless they lower the price. If they lower the price, I honestly believe that when the fall happens, because they sit there and say that this bundle is only going to go on until the fall, I think two things are going to happen. Either number one, they're going to use it to prove like, oh, everybody's okay with paying for $80 games when you see how many of these games we sold, which most of them were from the bundles anyways. Or number two, once the fall is over and they sit there and stop doing the bundle, I think that they may lower the price down to $70, which is still too damn much. But I think they'll lower the price down. And the only reason why I think that Nintendo put that $80 price tag on that game was so they could sell more consoles, was the whole reason why. Because they literally brainwashed you into thinking that you actually got a deal, but they actually raised the price of the console by so damn much. It wouldn't even surprise me if the fall happens and they happen to lower the price of the game and the console itself.
To pretty much go into, we're in the full heyday of Nintendo Switch. Like, remember back during COVID when they sold 28 million units in a year? They are trying to get production up to that level right now. The demand is insane. And they want to make sure they meet it because obviously meeting that demand equals more money in their pockets books too. Like people can't buy video games if they don't have the Switch 2, right? They can't buy Switch 2 games anyway. So yeah, this is unheard of. This looks like it's going to be record-breaking. We already heard yesterday about record-breaking sales out in France. I'm sure we're about to hear about record-breaking sales everywhere, even if it is still easy to pre-order in your given territory. It's because it's way more stocked than other systems were. In the US, we'll find out tonight, won't we? How quick do you guys want to take some bets on how quick the online pre-orders are sold out tonight?
I still really hope that you're not able to get one. You have to buy one from a scalper. But I love how he sits there and says during COVID, they sold so many. You do realize that if you look at the years where the Switch sold the most, I don't know if people realize this, but it was the years where they gave out those stimulus checks, and one of the years happened to be the most sold year for Nintendo Switches was the year that the PS5 came out, where they had a shortage due to COVID, due to the chip shortage. Nintendo just got really lucky those years.
Rather than it'll be up for an hour or they'll be up for 15 minutes. It might be a minute. Might make you nervous. I understand if it does. But this is nothing but good news for Nintendo. Nintendo is sitting pretty, and Nintendo is apologizing ahead of time because they can't meet demand. And
yes, it's looking good for Nintendo. Shitty for us, shitty for the consumers. But you're just too stupid to do that. Well, actually, you're not too stupid. You're just too much of a coward to sit there and stand up for the people. You're not even a real gamer. You're not going to stand up for actual gamers. I understand. Go crawl in your hole and be a good little Nintendo shield. Well, that's it for my reaction. If you enjoyed my reaction, please give it a like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay vigilant.